Something I did on the I made a thread on True Gaming, the True Gaming subreddit on Reddit, and I did see some points in there. One of them I hadn't even really thought about. Surprisingly, Kung Fu Hamster mentioned how GTA's story was good, but Saints Row has branching decisions, and that's something
that's very true.
that Grand Theft Auto really didn't have.
Yeah.
You could make choices to align with this group or do this, and you got a bonus for doing either or. And Grand Theft Auto never really had that. It was, there was a story, and you were a reviewer kind of into the story.
Right. And that would make Grand Theft Auto a better game by far, because I think the story in Grand Theft Auto is a lot better. I remember, I played GTA 4. I know you didn't really like it, Casey, but I paid attention to the story. I still remember bits and pieces of the story, and I
would like to give it another shot. But
yeah. I played that maybe 3 years ago ish, and Saints Row the Third I played, I don't know, 6-8 months ago, and I think I could tell you more about the GTA storyline than I could Saints Row.
Sure.
Which has to say something about the game itself, and then the impact that the story had on me.
Right.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
All I was gonna say is that Casey mentioning Kung Fu Hamster, which is an awesome name, by the way. I have to take a moment just to geek out a little bit, because my name is John on Reddit posted a picture of a gun in the Saints Row 4 game that is called the Captain, and it is the gun that Captain Malcolm Reynolds from Firefly uses. And I was like, oh, geek moment happy. I'm definitely now, literally for that alone. I mean, I would get the game anyway when it comes down in price a little bit because of my experience, but immediately I'm like, oh, I could play with that, and I'm sure that I can get a jacket or a coat, a brown coat. They were the brown coats, and I could literally be Captain Malcolm Reynolds walking around in Saints Row 4, and I'm pretty excited about that. So
I would imagine that they're going to have some clothing that complements that.
Oh yeah.
Too, so.
A long brown coat's really all you need. Though some suspenders underneath it with a brown shirt, that'd be pretty awesome too.
Yep.
So
they'll have the whole get up, I'm sure.
Had to have my geek out moment there, because Mike is he's very vocal about his opposition to Firefly. So everyone email in and give Mike some hate mail from the Firefly or something.
Go for it. I can't stand it. I thought it was terrible, but
Mike's always getting the hate mail and the weirdos messaging him.
Yeah, well,
maybe we'll have to start maybe start a segment where we read the weirdo hate mail to Mike. That'd be a fun segment.
Mike's hate mail of the week.
Yeah.
Why do you think I don't spend much time on Reddit? That's it right there.
So you viewers out there, you have to contribute. We can't make up hate mail. You gotta send that stuff in.
All right, let's go back to the topic at hand here. All right, let's get out of hand.
Yeah.
So Saints Row 4. I know none of us have played it,
right.
Because honestly, it's too expensive for us to buy it. What do you guys feel about them adding the superpowers into it?
I think it's a cool addition.
So again, superheroes, that's kind of my thing. So more geeking out from me. But in a game like this, I actually don't know that I love that, to be completely honest with you.
And I'm inclined to agree with you, Nate. I think it's incredibly ballsy that they did do this super power thing. I know there's one that you can sprint 100,000 miles an hour down the road, which alleviates the how do I get across town in 30 seconds to whatever place I'm trying to be.
And it's the context in which they've done this, which allows me to support it. Essentially, my understanding is that it's essentially the Matrix. were like aliens invaded or something, and you are in a matrix. You're
Right.
plugged into a machine, and so and you level up these abilities as you progress. And so it's just like the old games where in Saints Row 3 it got to the point where I could go out in the middle of a battle and I'd have infinite ammo and a full health bar, and basically I couldn't die, you know. And I think that the progression is going to be similar to that with the superpowers, where day one I can't open the door to my apartment and sprint across town, in
Oh,
5
absolutely.
seconds. So
Absolutely. And I did read someone's complaint on Reddit that said they didn't like the superpower where you can run across town because then you don't use cars anymore. Well,
sure,
that's your choice.
right,
If you don't want to drive a car across town, then don't drive a car across town. It's kind of like I told you I was playing Skyrim. I don't like the magic aspect of those kind of games. I don't really do that thing. So you complete the game. You can complete the game without using magic. So that's probably what I'm going to do. That's just the way I am.
sure. No, we'll see. I guess it depends on how much of a staple it is.
It does
Right.
not dissuade me one bit from playing the game. I would say that. While I don't
Yeah.
necessarily love it, I mean, I like the wackiness of the game. That's what hooked me, and so it's not something that gives me tremendous alarm or anything like that. But at first glance or first mention, I'm not sure that I am in love with the idea of it. But I wasn't sure that I was going to be in love with playing the game of Saints Row 3 to
Yeah.
begin with either, and I like that. So I'm open minded about it.
Sure.
Yeah, me too. I'm actually excited to try it out and try out the new abilities, and I'll make up my own mind when I play it. One thing that we actually haven't touched on at all, which I think is a big part of what people have an opinion on, is the online play or lack thereof
sure.
with both the games.
Sure.
Yeah, good point.
Saints Row the Third has co-op. I mean, you can't beat it. If you can, Nate, I see, I jump on Steam, you're playing Saints Row the Third. Oh, I'm going to jump in with him and play for, however long until you're done. You can do that. And that is awesome. And you go back to GTA 4, and yes, it's a little bit older, but it's not that the co-op ability or the capability, rather, of doing co-op wasn't there at that time. They didn't incorporate it. And I remember Casey and I, we both had GTA 4 on Xbox 360, and we were really excited about the online play. And it was about the biggest disappointment that I think both of us had about the entire game. And I think, that's probably a big reason why we didn't like it when it came out, was
Right.
the online play for it.
Yep.
I know we tried several different modes and didn't really care for it. And eventually our favorite thing to do was, there was a race in a specific area. Yeah, you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah. I know.
So, there was a race in a specific area, and it's a lapped race.
Don't judge us.
No. Well, we'd start out the race. Everybody'd blow in front of us. We're like, okay, that's no problem. We go to the fire department, pick up 2 fire trucks, and block the road completely on where the race would circle around.
Yes. There was
And
like
we-
a tight bottleneck at the bottom of a bridge or
Yes.
something. Yeah.
And you could not get through it because there were these 2 giant fire trucks sitting in the way.
And we'd tease them and go back and forth and make a little split opening for a second and then close it real quick.
And we'd take they had the water guns, so when they'd get out of the car to try and kill you, you'd take the sprayer of the fire truck and shoot them down, and they couldn't move.
It would just
You could
repeatedly
shoot
stun
at
them so they couldn't do
Yeah.
anything. Yes.
And that's probably a terrible thing to do, but I will say that was the most fun online I had with GTA ever.
Yeah, that probably is behavior that I would frown upon these days. But no,
Absolutely. But
it was fun.
I think we're
if
just-
you were one of those people, I apologize, but
yeah.
I can't say that I didn't enjoy it. So
Yeah, that's the thing, dude. I think we were so upset with how the online play was in that game
yeah,
that We just needed something to do that was entertaining,
Right.
and that was it.
Yeah.
You know.
That's funny.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's something I talked about with Kung Fu Hamster again, and our conversation on Reddit was the co-op play, and that's something that me as a player, I can join you Mike, or you Nate's game with my character and play for 15 minutes, and you can continue your storyline, and I can just hop out, and I get to bring my character into your world, and you still get to progress in your single player storyline.
It was so slick and so smooth. I mean, so much, so unlike your guys' Resident Evil 5 experience that we talked about last week. I mean, I was playing, and all of a sudden, Mike's with me. He's like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm like, "It's pretty good." And then we played one mission, and he was gone, and I just kept doing my thing. And it was, it was just
never slowed you down for a second.
Never slowed me down. Nope.
Yep.
That's perfect. That's what we need in every multiplayer game. Any co-op experience should be that smooth.
Absolutely. And one thing that I do like, I know this is one of those little things, me being picky, but one of the things I do like is when I do jump into one of your guys' games, I get all my cars, I get all my guns, I get all of my stuff, know, and that's one of those little things that just make it great, I think.
Right. And and sure, I could be a new player, and you could be somebody that's beaten the game and come in with all these overpowered guns and ruin my experience. But that's something that you and the player can decide to do or not.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe that's what somebody wants. Maybe that's maybe somebody's not very good, and they want somebody to come run them through the game so they can enjoy the experience. That's up to the players. That's not the game developers' place to decide that. So.
I agree with you. On the flip side, then someone like Mike might not want to come in and join my game ever because he'd have to start with someone that is either generic or has nothing in terms of the weapons that he has earned and wants to play with. And so there's two sides of that particular coin, and I agree that's not for the developers to decide. That's for the players to decide.
Right.
Yep.
Right there with you.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and overall, I think there's good to be taken from both. And my specific question on Reddit was what traits could we take from both games and make one kind of super game out of. I don't know, did either of you guys see anything else on there that a point that anybody made?
Well, I'll say this. There's one thing that really intrigued me that just in thinking about it, and I'll say this even like about Arkham City and playing those games. I'm like, man, if they just remade this exact same game and put Superman in it and Metropolis and made a game that was exactly like this but fit it for Superman and in his world, that I would love to play that. That would be a great thing. And I think that that's one thing that I could get on board with GTA is if it was tweaked to be a little more. There's just something about the GTA games as I've played them. I enjoy them. I've had a lot of fun with them. So I really don't have anything bad to say about them. They're just not. It's just not quite down my alley for one reason or another. I can't exactly tell you what it is. But Orange Pride 24 put on Reddit the other day this art of Grand Theft Auto that was Grand Theft Auto Gotham City, and it's got this fantastic art of the Batman, and it's got Two-Face and the Joker and Commissioner Gordon, Harley Quinn, Batgirl even, and it looks, I'm like, oh my gosh, I know that this is just like, hey, look at this is cool, but seriously, I would play that game. I would, if that was an actual game, I would make that. And
they would make a killing out of that. And I saw one for Breaking Bad too, the TV show. And it's like, why don't they take that engine and do like they've done with the Lego franchise?
Absolutely.
And license it out and make those worlds, man. If there was a Gotham City where I could run around as Batman and just catch people like stealing purses and stuff, I could do that for eternity. That could be my one. If I could cruise down the street in my Batmobile and ramp up and smash over some police cars trying to escape me as I get back to the Batcave, man, that would be amazing.
That would be amazing. And that Breaking Bad art was fantastic too.
Yes.
The pictures of Walt and Jesse were just so spot on, and Saul. It was like, and that actually, to be honest, the Breaking Bad actually kind of fits the feel of Grand Theft Auto probably a little more than the Gotham City one.
Sure.
But yeah, I would play both of those. And your idea in terms of making it kind of like a Lego franchise it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I wish they would do something like that. I wouldn't think. I mean, granted, there's a lot of work involved, obviously, but I think there's a lot of money involved too. I think they could make a killing off of that. Imagine an Avengers game in a city like that. I mean, the possibilities are endless. So, but
Yeah.
we'll see where the future takes us.
One thing I think we should probably make a point of after this whole conversation is, Nate, I think it's obvious you prefer Saints Row over GTA, yes?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And Casey, where are you at it on it?
It's tough. Yeah, probably right now, Saints. If we're looking at the last iteration of the games that I played, Grand Theft Auto 4 and Saints Row the Third, I prefer Saints Row.
Yeah, and I would qualify my statement with listen. Out of these two franchises, I have, I think, a good enough experience with both to be able to kind of make my general opinion, but at the same time would qualify it with I have not experienced everything that both franchises have had to offer.
Sure.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And I would say that I am probably about a 50-50 split. And I think the reason behind that is if I could pick a game where, say I only had to play it, or I could only play it by myself, I would pick GTA. Now, if I had something to where I can play with whoever I want, I would pick Saints.
Sure.
Obviously, you could play cooperatively, and that's
there's pros and cons to both. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's the big advantage for me for the franchises themselves. Otherwise, I think I'd be GTA all the way.
It's close for me.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I have to look at the fact that I actually finished Saints Row, and I can look at it and say I had a lot of fun playing that. And Grand Theft Auto, I can't say that maybe I didn't give it enough of a chance. Maybe I need to go back and finish it. I plan to, but
Right.
I haven't done that yet. It's like I'm not excited enough to get back and jump in that world and do it again. So just that right there is enough to tell me I prefer Saints Row.
I can understand that.
Yeah, and and that influences me, to be completely honest with you. I mean, you both very much convinced me in a way to get the Saints Row games because you guys always gush and could not have better things to say about it. But I knew, Casey, that you had never beat GTA 4. You've talked about those experiences, so I'm like, if it wasn't quite good enough to finish, do I want to invest? Do I want to invest the time?
I do have to say something about that. I said at the beginning of this that I've played both of them front to back, and I have. However, GTA 4, I want to say that I took a year break from that game. Probably exactly 1 year. And I remember getting frustrated at some point, and I got bored, and I was like, okay, let's finish this game back up. Popped it in. Apparently, I was on the last mission because in about 15 minutes I was done. And I was like, well, now what do I do? It's just I was still left unfulfilled. And that maybe that jaded a little bit of GTA for me because
And I don't know if you ever touched the DLCs for Grand Theft Auto 4?
I haven't. I haven't for Grand Theft Auto 4. I think that's the only thing in the franchises, both of them, that I haven't played is episodes from Liberty City, I believe.
Yeah,
is still
Ballad of Gay Tony and I can't think of what the biker one's called. But there's a biker one too.
Yeah,
I can't think of what it's called. Anyway, I would say that just looking at it, I think that the DLC for Grand Theft Auto 4 seems to be a lot more valuable, a lot more bang for your buck. It looks like there's an increased story. I bought the DLCs for Saints Row, and it was just a couple of missions. It wasn't anything.
Yeah, it's DLC for Saints Row isn't all that. I'll definitely give you that.
Yeah. So and I like to see that with Grand Theft Auto, an expanded story. It's pretty much a whole new game that uses that engine.
Right.
And I appreciate that, and I need to give those a chance. Maybe I'll dive into those before finishing 4 to kind of get me ramped up again, and that way my first experience isn't playing through some missions I've already played. Maybe get me excited for it again.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Is anyone else lagging?